So I'm ripping out this bathroom on my 1970s renovation project. Years worth of hair and all kinds of nasties in that old trap. I need to turn this one round quick because the family need to use it. It's the only bathroom in the property and we need to get it done in 10 days.
Have you finished that bathroom yet?
And you see, this is what I have to contend with. Can I do it? No idea really. It's going to be tight, but we're going to give it a go. So the first stage of any bathroom refurb, day one, is always the rip out, and then we can move on to the fabrication. First fixing of plumbing, first fixing of electrics, any plastering, that kind of thing. We move on to that once we've got the rip out done. Door off, doors always get in the way. To get it off, then you can't keep knocking into it. Carpet in a bathroom. Finally, we can get rid of this thing. I don't know how many years of grime are in this. I probably don't want to know. We can see what we're dealing with now. What we've got to do is take the screws out of the feet. The bath will essentially then be free. We'll take these battens off that the bath panel was attached to. The biggest bit of this is disconnecting the waste and the hot and cold taps from the end of the bath. Luckily, it's probably not too bad because we've got a gate valve there for the hot tap and an isolation valve for the cold tap. Let's see. Yep, the isolation valves do work. That's always a good start. Now, once the plumbing's all undone, you're probably, if the job was done properly previously, going to have to take the first row of tiles off around the bath, because when you install a bath, you'll tile down to the bath and then you'll seal around that. You wouldn't tile a wall and then put the bath in over the top of the tiles. Like they've tiled over the top of some old tiles here, so I've got two lots of tiles to take off. Interesting. Years worth of hair and all kinds of nasties in that old trap. And the best thing for a bathroom rip out? Old sponges, Groton sponges. So keep the sponge off the last job and use it to catch the water on the rip out for the next. If the bath you're removing is cast iron, I'd advise smashing it up where it sits. Get a massive lump hammer and smash it in bits. It's a lot easier than trying to lift it out normally. Chuck it in a bucket and chuck it in the skip. We should be able to just lift it out. There we go, bath's out. We can chuck that in the skip now. You can see the plumbing there that we undid, and you can see the huge hole that the previous people cut for the trap. Yeah, they've just tiled, check this out. They've just tiled over all the old tiles. Oh, I hate it when people do that. That means I'm gonna have to smash off two lots of tiles. Bath's out, sink out next. We're doing well so far. All the isolation valves are actually stopping the water. Sometimes they don't. Hopefully you can hear me. The neighbour's got his strimmer out right when I want to film. That's just the joys of filming on YouTube, I'm afraid. So taps are isolated. You'll have a mixture of screws behind the basin, depending on what type of basin it is. Get all those screws out. Sometimes they're rusted. If they are, use a multi-tool, cut them through. Sometimes you can just cut the silicone and pull the sink out. Other times, brute force and ignorance. We're working our way around the room. Toilet next. Hopefully you've got an isolation valve on the toilet. Turn that off. By flushing the toilet, we get most, if not all, of the water out of the cistern. Then I'm going to use a wet vac to suck the water out of the toilet bowl. If you haven't got a wet vac, just use a sponge and a bucket, soak up all the water and get the bowl empty. Now at this point, you are going to start to get some smell. Don't worry about it, get the toilet out, then we can deal with the smell. I'll show you a little trick to dealing with that until we get another toilet in. Now when you're taking the cistern out, what you 9 times out of 10 find is that the two bolts at the back of the cistern holding it to the wall are normally rusty, like you can see here. You're never going to get a screwdriver in it. Best thing to do with these is just cut them off with a grinder. Now there's a couple of screws at the bottom of the toilet that you'll need to remove. Sometimes the toilet's just siliconed in, then you'll be able to pull the toilet out. Whew, yeah, as expected, it stinks. To stop the smell for now, grab a carrier bag and bung it in the hole. Now I'm just taking the radiator off while I'm over this side of the room. If you want to see a full guide of how to remove a radiator from a wall, check out the little video that's going to pop up somewhere when you've finished watching this one. And once you've chucked it all in a skip, that really is the main components of a bathroom ripped out. All we've got to do now is disconnect the shower, take all the tiles off, take the floors up and things like that. I've just got up in the loft to see if there's an isolation valve for the shower. There's 300 ml of fiberglass up here. It's itchy and it's hot, so it's not fun. So I've had a little dig around. Something's been making a nest. And sure enough, I've found isolation valves. I think this one here is probably for the hot water. I'll turn them off. Let's see if anything comes out. Nope, good. So, looks like the valves are holding, and that means we can get this old shower ripped out. Now, because showers differ so much, the removal process from person to person is going to differ quite a bit. But as you can see, this shower is not too bad to remove and it comes out pretty easily. Now, what we're going to do is move on to taking all the tiles off. Now, it looks to me like I've got 2 layers of tiles to take off on this side of the room where the previous people tiled over tiles. You can see some more here. Now, of course, taking tiles off, tiles are sharp, so make sure we're wearing gloves, eye protection, probably air protection in a little space like this as well because it's very loud. We'll take all the tiles off, we'll see how easy they are to get off. Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they're hard, and we'll chuck them in the skip. I picked a nice easy place to start, and we'll start to see how easy or hard these tiles are to come off. Well, if they're all like that, I'm on to a winner. And as luck would have it, even though there were 2 layers of tiles across most of this bathroom, they really weren't that hard to remove at all. So now we're going to start fabrication. So first fix plumbing, first fix electrics, plastering the ceiling. We'll get the floors up to do all the plumbing, all that kind of thing. But it's been a long day, so I'll pick up the camera in the morning. The next stage of any bathroom refit, once you've done your rip out, is always going to be the first fixing of the plumbing, first fixing of electrics and any fabrication work. Now, of course, we can't just first fix our plumbing or electrics without knowing where things are going to go. So what I've done now is pulled the bath in so that I can see where that's going to go, and I'm going to put that up in this corner where the old bath was. I think the bath taps will go somewhere where that level is, in the middle of the bath there. And then I'll build a little box section here with a nice top on it so we can put shampoos and things like that at this end of the bath. And that just fills in the little space there. There's loads of lines here, they're not all mine. Some of these were already behind that false wall that we ripped out. So what I'll do over there is chase the pipes into the wall for the new mixer valve. We'll get onto that a little bit later. So by putting the bath there, I know the height that I want the mixer valve and the height of the shower head. I've decided the vanity unit's going here. I've marked for the waste, the hot and the cold. Moving on, toilet's going to go over here. This one's really easy. We just need to build the enclosure for the concealed cistern. We've already got a cold feed there for the cistern, and of course we can just reuse what's already here. Over this side of the room we've got a nice towel radiator over here, and there's an airing cupboard behind here. We just need to adjust the pipes coming in to feed that radiator. So that's the benefit of getting all of the bathroom suite in, dummying it up and seeing where your hot and cold feeds and wastes need to go so that you can start doing some first fix plumbing. So I think that's what we're going to do next. I marked where the radiator needs to go, and I drill a couple of holes for the rad tails. In the airing cupboard the other side you can see where the existing pipes come into that radiator, and we of course have drilled through here for our new towel rad. As luck would have it, you can see one of the new holes is right where the cold feed is for the shower, so I need to move that. Then I'll disconnect the 2 heating pipes and re-solder them, so we'll have 2 towels coming out for our new towel rad. The first step of this process is of course draining down the system so I can work on it. And then I set to work on cutting out all of the old heating pipes in the airing cupboard. So I've redirected both of the pipes for the new towel radiator and just used the existing bend, chopped that out and moved it up so that it crosses over that radiator pipe. So if we look this side, you can see we've now got 2 perfectly level tails coming out of the other side of the wall here, so that once we finish the wall we can just put the towel radiator on and we know that those tails are in the perfect position. So that's our first little bit of first fixing done. Now we're going to move on to some more pipe work. At this point there's always plenty of floorboards to take up so you can do all your pipe work. So I'm now going to first fix the plumbing for the basin, which is going over here. I've taken the floors up and you can see what we've got. We've got a couple of heating pipes. So these two here are heating pipes. We don't want to touch them, they go through to the next bedroom. But what they are doing is you can hear knocking on those two pipes. So I want to sort that out because that's really annoying me. We've got the hot 22, which is teed off there, going down where the stack pipe is, down to the kitchen, and we've got the cold feed, and that is also going down to the kitchen sink as well. So what I'm going to do is cut these two here, and I'm going to replumb all of this so that all these pipes for the basin and the bath go exactly where I want them to go. I could probably salvage some of this, but I might as well cut them here and get rid of all those joints because, I mean, if you look at some of the soldering, it is not the best. Although I suppose you could argue it's been there a lot of years, so it can't be that bad, can it? But I'd feel a lot better if I just rip all this out and redo it. So that's what we're going to do, and at the same time I'll be able to sort out those pipes knocking together. On any bathroom refit, when you take the floors up, you always seem to find loads of old rubbish that other people previously have left under the floorboards. So what I like to do is get my hands in there and take it all out. And it's about the fine details and a bit of bad practice as well. Why would you leave all this mess in the floor? Let's make a nice clean job and get it all out. So I've got the hot and cold, and I've got the hot and cold that go downstairs, down the side of the stack pipe there. The waste for this is 32 mil, so we need to take out enough to accommodate the waste pipe and the 15 mil hot and colds, and I'll put a little bit of lagging over them as well. So, time to get the grinder out and make a bit of mess. Why is it all the jobs I end up doing seem to involve dust? Now there's going to be loads of dust, and you're probably not going to be able to hear me. So I'll let you watch while I chase the wall out. Now I'm going to use speed fit plastic pipe under the floor here just because it's quicker, and I trust it 100%, so I'm happy to put it under the floor, but I don't like to have it on show anywhere where it comes out of the wall, and that's why I did the radiator in cupboard, because even in the airing cupboard I don't want to see plastic. Here you can see I'm deburring the copper pipe before I put a speed fit coupler onto that pipe to put my speed fit pipe into. Now I'm just putting an insert in, trimming the pipes down to length and inserting them into the couplers, and starting to create the first fix plumbing that we need for the basin and running across to the bath as well. So the hot and cold pipe feeds are in, and now I've got some felt lagging, and I'm just going to pop that on the sections of pipe that are in the wall. Just like that, so you've got a little bit of lagging on there. Now the reason I do that is whenever you're chasing pipes into a wall, you don't want contamination from things like cement or plaster on the pipes. Now it's more important on copper because things like cement actually react with the copper, and over time the pipe will deteriorate. A couple of clips just to hold the pipe in place, and now I can just pop my copper tails in, and then later on, once this is boarded, once the vanity unit's in, I can put my isolation valves on and connect my taps to them. So that is the hot and cold feeds installed. It's all capped off, and I can get the water back on now so the family can actually use the water again, because I'm getting it in the neck. So the first fixing's done for the basin for the hot and cold feeds, but this is where things get a little bit more interesting, because we need to get waste pipes through for the bath and for the basin. Boring through joists is where you put holes through the centre to run waste pipes, and it's something that often causes a lot of controversy. But if you do need to bore through joists, there's a lot of factors and things to consider to make it safe so that you don't compromise the joist. Now if we look at the joists we've got here, we're okay to bore through the centre of these joists with 40mm waste pipe because we've got 200mm joists. Now these joists are actually oversized. These are 200mm joists, but for the span we've got here in this part of the house, they only actually need to be 170mm, so they are oversized. Of course, when the house is built, they use the same joists throughout. So in other areas, the joists will be on their maximum span, and in this area, they're actually way under. At the maximum hull we can put through a 200mm joist is 50mm. Now each situation will vary, and you do need to do your research before you go putting any big holes through joists. Now, belts and braces moment, what I want to do is sister the joists just to give them some extra strength. Now I'm going to get some good adhesive like this Ox adhesive. I'll put a load of that on the back of this piece of ply. There we go. Pop that on there. Now I'm putting a load of screws in there as well, just so it's glued and screwed. It is going nowhere. Considering things are going to be in the way, sometimes it's a little bit tricky. If you've got the complete floor up and everything stripped back, like you sometimes do with bathroom refurbs, it's a lot easier. So now I've got those bits of ply on there, I'm going to put my hole saw through. So now we've got all the holes, we can start constructing our waste pipe run. Now we do that with 40mm solvent weld waste pipe. The reason I like to use solvent weld, it's more reliable under floors in my opinion, and when you're working between two joists you'll always find that you're going to have joins under the floor, because you've got to get it down between two joists and then push it through the hole. So you're always going to have joins, and you don't want them joins to be anything other than solvent weld, in my opinion. Now baths and showers will always be 40mm, your basin will always be 32mm. Now if I take this flooring up, I could boss through and put another pipe into the stack pipe, but it's a lot more work and I need to get this room done. So what I'm doing instead is something you probably should try and avoid where you can, and that is dropping this 32mm into a 40mm, but providing you've got good fall and you've got an air admittance valve on your basin being the highest point, you shouldn't get any problems. Now the reason we have an air admittance valve on the basin trap is to stop it gurgling. If we do that, we eliminate that problem. Joining the shower and the basin up will cause that to gurgle if we don't have an air admittance valve. Now I'm not going to go into too much detail. I've got a video on the channel how I solvent weld waste pipes. Go and check that one out. It'll pop up somewhere at the top of the screen if you want to see detailed information on how to do this. Same with push fit plumbing and all that stuff. There'll be links in the description to all those videos. So when you've watched this, you can go and watch the in-depth guides on how to do each component of the job, because of course if I do a guide in this video on each component, the video will be hours long and you'll get bored. Now I proof mark all the pipes before I apply the solvent weld, so that way when I put the pipe in the fitting, I'll know it's all the way home. Now the last bit of plumbing under the floor is the feeds for the bath taps. I'm just getting them up through the floor, putting a couple of retaining clips in to hold my pipe. I then apply the speed fit inserts and put full bore isolation valves on, making sure the direction is correct and making sure the compression fitting's nice and tight. And there we go, that is the cold and the hot feeds for the bath taps in. Now we're approaching the end of day 2, and my mission really was to get all of the first fix plumbing in. It's a bit of a mess, but you can see we've got the rad pipes, we've got the water feed for the cistern. I've got to build the cistern over there a little bit later, so don't worry about that. We've got the first fix plumbing in for the basin, and we've got the first fix plumbing in for the bath taps. Now I'm putting the hot and cold feeds in for the shower valve. There's a bar mixer going on the wall. I do this in much the same way as we did with the basin, chasing those pipes into the wall. But this time we use copper instead of plastic. Today, day 3, is going to be getting the holes in for the downlights, getting all the cables in for that, and getting the fan in as well. There wasn't a fan in this bathroom before. I'm going to put an inline fan in the loft, and there's going to be a standalone video for that one because I think it deserves a little bit of time. So if you haven't seen that one already, I'll link it at the end of this video. So I need to mark out for the downlights, and the first bit of that is getting up into the loft and finding where the joists are. But it's full of insulation, so I'm not looking forward to this. I've got the loft suit on, get the mask on, and get up there and see what's what. I measured off the joists so that I don't hit them, and then I drilled the holes for my downlights. I'm using a dade because that catches all the dust. So we've got 4 downlights in this main area here, and then over above the toilet area, we've got a downlight over there as well. And we're going to be using the quick wire downlights in this room. They are IP65 rated, so they're perfect for bathrooms, and they're so quick to install. They're the only downlights that I ever really use these days, and that's because of the quick wire connector. So let's have a bit of fun. Let's see how quick I can get a quick wire downlight installed. Now of course, don't rush electrics. This is just a little bit of fun. Ready? let's go. Get our connector. So the cable stripped back, get our connector. One. Hang on, bit of a blunder on camera. Always the way. And pop that on there. Cable's up. Up we go. Springs in. And there we go. They really are quick. That is all the downlights successfully done. I've brought the bath back in so that I can dummy up its position, so I can mark out for my shelf. So I'm just making a little mark where the bath comes to, and that way I'll know where I need to build this shelf. So I've cut all these lengths of timber and I'm just constructing this little box section here for the end of the bath. So the pressure is on, and if I don't get this done today, we're going to be massively behind.
So how'd you forget that baby it's a coward way you strut? How could I not worship every inch your feet have touched? Baby, run away with me. You kill it lonely. You make my eyes unfocus.
That's one done, absolutely rock solid. Now I'm going to move on to getting the concealed cistern one done for the toilet. We've got a back to wall toilet going in, and that's going to look really nice. So I'm going to work on this area now. So I've marked a line for the top of the box section. That's in line with the windowsill. So to the eye, that's going to look really smart. It's going to be in line with the windowsill. So I need to build the box section, bring it 12 mil shy of the face of this box section here, because we've got a bit of board going in there. Once that's done, we can dummy up the toilet and get the soil pipe in.
Gonna now and last someday. Here we go. Rose bed fancy home.
Now with concealed cisterns, when you get to this stage of the boxing in, you want to bring the toilet in and dummy it up. It's all about the planning. If you don't bring it in and dummy it up, you're likely to find that when you come to either tile or panel this box section, something will be in the wrong place. So I like to build everything up, and then I know where everything's going to go, and when it comes to second fix in the bathroom, everything goes together nicely. So one example of why you dummy things up, this piece of box section can't go any higher because it'll be out of line with the windowsill, and I can't cut down the concealed cistern any more than I already have. So this concealed cistern's got to sit somewhere there. And of course that clashes with the stud work on the box section. So I've had to notch this little piece out. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to put the flush plate on later. So if you take anything from this, it's that. Do your prep now. I have got another one of these to do in a couple of months. So hopefully I'll bring you a full video on this a little bit later on. So I've put the cistern in. You can see it's nice and level. It's dummied up with the flush for the toilet, so we know everything's perfect, we know everything's in the right position, and what we've got here is the cistern screwed back to a couple of blocks on the wall, just like that, so we know it can't go anywhere. And now I'm installing the brace for the flush pipe. What this does is just stops that flush pipe from moving. If there's any movement in the cistern or anything like that, the flush pipe can't go anywhere. And also, when we push the toilet in during second fixing, it just stabilizes it so that we can push the toilet back to the flush pipe. If you're enjoying the video, hit subscribe. The more subscribers, the better the content can be, and hit like because that helps this video reach more people on YouTube. So I am just connecting the water up now to the cistern. So I'm going to turn the water on with the isolation valve. You've got another isolation tap inside the cistern. I'll then be able to test the cistern, check it doesn't leak or anything like that, check there's no disasters, and then be able to flush it into a bucket to test it. Then we'll be able to box this in. Now if you look in there, we've got another little isolation tap, so we'll turn that on and we should get a cistern filling up. There we go, you can hear that's filling up. So the cistern's full now, no leaks, that's good. And we're now going to test the flush. Once we've done that, we'll know we're all good. Boom. You can hear us filling up again. We know it all works bang on. And that essentially is how you first fix a concealed cistern. The process is always very similar no matter which brand you use. So yeah, they're really effective when they're in, they're worth the effort, but the key thing is that you do all the prep, planning and testing before you go any further. They're time consuming, but they're worth it in the end. They look really good when the toilet's in. The worst bit of any bathroom refit, the poo pipe. They're never in the right place and you always end up having to mess around and change the position of the pan connector so that it goes onto the new toilet. So what I'll do, get a saw in here, cut this soil pipe back, put the new pan connector on. It'll be a flexible pan connector. I stick a bit of masking tape around there so that I can be sure that I get a nice straight cut with the saw, and I just use a handsaw to make the cut. It doesn't take too long to get through the pipe. A little bit of silicone spray and then we can just put the pan connector into the pipe. It shouldn't be too difficult to get that to slide in. And flexible pan connectors just give you that little bit more flexibility. Boom, poo pipe is in. I wanted to get more done. I think I'm going to wrap this up and move on to painting the ceiling, and we'll probably resume toilet fitting and all that stuff in the next episode. So I think, because it's getting late in the day, let's get this ceiling painted. So freshly plastered ceiling, that needs a mist coat. Now mist coat is just watered down white emulsion. You can see here, this is my mist coat, it's just watered down white emulsion. And by doing that, the top coat won't peel off. Now, bathroom ceilings, you need to put bathroom paint on them. If you put normal emulsion on them, it's just gonna peel off. So once we've done the mist coat, we'll be able to go over this with some Dulux bathroom paint.
Here we go, 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 go. You're easy to remember, so hard to forget. And that baby is a coward when you strut. Well, how could I know?
So we've got a couple of coats of mist coat on there, and that prepares the plaster ready for our bathroom paint, which is this Easy Care Dulux bathroom paint. Is perfect for bathroom ceilings where you've got all that moisture. You don't want to be using normal white emulsion, because if you do, it's just going to peel off. So let's get this stuff on the ceiling. Right, that's the ceiling painted. It's looking really good.
Have you finished that bathroom yet?
And you see, this is what I have to contend with. Now I've marked out the pipes and the flush plate, and I'm going to board the box sections with moisture board, so moisture resistant plasterboard. You could use Jacko board, Weddy board, tank it and all that kind of thing if you prefer. I'm just going to pop that on there and then I'll screw it to the stud work behind. And that concludes all the first fixing. Box sections are done, and that is the end of day 4. Are we on track? Not really, we're a bit behind, but we can make up time. So join us next time on the bathroom renovation. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, hit one of these because you're bound to like them as well, and I'll see you guys in the next one.